I'm Will Pugh from the We Are West Ham podcast. I'm here at the Merrywell in Perth. My first time in Australia. I'm here ahead of this afternoon's game against Perth Glory at Optus Stadium. I'm delighted to say that joining me ahead of his first ever West Ham United game is George from Melbourne. George, it's great to have you with us. Thanks very much for being on the show this afternoon. It's your first ever West Ham game. Tell me, how the hell did you get into it? You're from Melbourne, you live about 700 million miles away from London. How are you a West Ham fan?
It all started 2015-16, watching Payet all those years back, and I honestly just fell in love. I thought West Ham's definitely the club for me, definitely a club I should follow, and here I am today, my first game, and I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant, mate. I mean, not being funny, but if Dimitri Payet is your way into football, you're not going to not fall in love with the team that he's playing for. The football he was playing at that time, it was magic, wasn't it? It was some of the greatest, one of the greatest players I've ever seen. For you, what was it like just seeing him? You probably thought it was like that every week, did you?
Oh, honestly, because I had not experienced West Ham until I saw Payet, and I just thought, wow, this club's amazing. It's definitely something I wanted to do, just keep watching West Ham as much as I could. And yeah, as you said, my first game, I'm so excited to be here, and can't wait to see what happens tonight.
Yeah, it's amazing, mate. It's amazing. So how does it work for you guys then? Obviously, there's lots of Hammers in here at the moment from all over the world, but mainly from Australia, of course. We know it's a total ball ache for you guys to watch a lot of the games. I was chatting to some of the guys from the Adelaide Hammers group who got up at something like 3:30 in the morning to watch us win the Europa Conference League final. What does supporting West Ham look like for you?
Oh, it's every morning before work, 5 a.m. Usually at 4:45 a.m. the games would start. I'm watching it, got it on my way to work, and it's hard. It's hard to get up at that time sometimes, but I can't miss a game. Always have to watch it.
Yeah, so you managed to watch most of West Ham games, do you?
Yeah, as much as I can.
Yeah. All right, so you've told me that you fell in love with West Ham through Dimitri Payet, which makes perfect sense, to be quite honest with you. What have you sort of made of it since then? Obviously, we've had some amazing seasons the past couple of years. What have you made of it as a new latecomer to West Ham? What have you made of it since?
Obviously, we've had our ups and downs, but the past few years being in Europe, I think David Moyes done a great job in terms of the Premier League. You know, he's been good. He's been there. He's gotten us to Europe, which is winning the cup last season. Amazing. It's so good.
Yeah, it was just incredible, wasn't it? I mean, I was lucky enough to be out there in Prague, and it's one of those things I'll never forget it. It's amazing to hear from all of you guys all around the world and all the efforts and the lengths you went to watch a game as well. So ahead of your first ever in-person West Ham game this afternoon, what are your feelings? What are you thinking about it? How much planning went into it beforehand? You've obviously made the trip up from Melbourne to be here for this. Talk me through your feelings beforehand.
Just as soon as I saw West Ham were coming here to Perth, unfortunately it wasn't Melbourne, but I thought, I still have to make the trip. Brought my girlfriend with me, and she's over here. We're going to support. It's going to be her first game as well. So, it's going to be an amazing feeling. I can't wait to see even whoever plays tonight. It's just going to be all around just a good team, good game to watch. So.
Erin's standing off camera at the moment, by the way, refusing to come and be a star of the We Are West Ham podcast this week, but she's doing a sterling job with the camera work, setting us up nicely so we look good. I did explain that the lighting needs to be good to make me look better. George obviously is a handsome bastard anyway, so it didn't really matter. George, you talk about the players and all that this afternoon, and Dimitri Payet being your first ever favourite. Yeah. Nowadays, who is it you sort of look at in the team? I see you've got a Skamaka shirt on there, a little bit of sort of, not the greatest first season, but who's your favourite player now? What do you make of the squad?
At the moment, definitely Jared Bowen. Just his winning goal in that final, just unreal. He's so good. He's such
legend
a good player.
Forever, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, Declan Rice, but with this transfer over to Arsenal, so I still love him. Great player, but at the moment, I'd have to say Jared Bowen.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that goal in the final, it was like time slowed down, didn't it? You saw him going through and go, I was still having a panic attack, thinking he was going to be flagged for offside, and then he puts it in the bottom corner, and it's just pandemonium, a moment that none of us will ever forget. What do you make of the Declan Rice situation then? You mentioned the transfer to Arsenal, £105 million deal agreed. It's great business for the club. He's conducting himself well, but what do you make of that? Because there's a few people sort of rumblings of discontent, sort of a little bit annoyed that he's transferring to another London club, that sort of thing. It's not really how I feel about it, to be honest, but what are your feelings?
Look, I think it's the right step for his career. Obviously, he wants to progress, and I think he's done most of what he can at West Ham for the last few years since he's been playing. But obviously, captained us, won the Conference League final. He wants to up his career now. I think it's best for him to move on. He's done what he can for West Ham, so obviously just happy he's been a part of the process.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, I don't know about you, but the way he's conducted himself among all this, it's not like he's refused to play, is it? Or not turned up for training, or thrown his toys out the pram like we've seen, and like we see with so many players in the Premier League these days, if they want to move. He hasn't conducted himself like that. He always talks fondly of the club, and I think, like you say, I agree with you. You can't really begrudge someone who just wants to further themselves now. He's done what he can, and what a way to bow out. So your first game this afternoon at Optus Stadium, what are you looking forward to the most? What are you thinking about it? Where are you sitting, first of all?
I'm sitting on level 1, so hopefully it's a good atmosphere tonight. I know Optus Stadium is a very good stadium. I personally haven't been before, but everyone says it's one of the best stadiums in Australia, so hope it's a good atmosphere. Hopefully there's a few chants going around and we can get involved with that, and hopefully West Ham get the win tonight as well.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I think the East Stand, I'm told, is the official West Ham supporting section. Whether or not you're there or not, I'm not sure. But look, it's an amazing day in Perth so far. I feel honoured to be out in Australia for the first time. By the way, I must ask you, and I'm going to ask this of all the Aussies that I come across, and I don't want to be accused of stereotyping you and your fellow countrymen, but what the hell is a quokka?
The quokka is an animal found on the Rottnest Island in Perth.
Which is the Quokka Island, I've been calling it.
Yeah, I guess Quokka Island.
Yeah. But what the hell are they?
Some big rat sort of looking thing, I don't know.
Some big rat. That's about, to be honest, the most accurate description I've picked up of it so far. But look, my first time down under. Brilliant to chat to you and have you on the podcast. What should I be doing? I've got 3.5 weeks here. Stand for the other Tottenham game, of course, and then I'm hanging out here for the Women's World Cup. While I'm here, I'm going Perth and Adelaide, and then back to Perth. I'm a bit annoyed that I've left England for the only 3 weeks of hot weather we get a year to come down under, where it's the middle of winter. But to be honest, if this is the middle of winter, I'd get out here. The sun's out, I've got my sunnies on. I might as well have had the shorts on. I did put trousers on because I was feeling a little bit wussy before I came out this afternoon. But I've got 3.5 weeks down under. I only got here yesterday. Once the jet lag's gone, what should I be doing?
I reckon just get out and about in the town. Just, have a look around. Perth's pretty warm, like compared to Melbourne. Melbourne, we're cold. So at the moment, just get out as much as you can, do whatever you can, get to the pubs, have a drink, get on the piss, everything. Enjoy it, really.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty sound bit of advice. Right, mate, look, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on the podcast. Before I let you go, you've got the Skamaka shirt on.
Yeah. What
do you make of that situation? He's done a couple of iffy interviews. He was unlucky with injuries last season. He sort of mentioned recently in the press that he'd love to play for Roma. Not the sounds coming out of a striker that you really want from your talisman. I personally think he was unlucky last season, but you do get the impression he fell out of his agent as well, split up with them last season, that all is not well. What do you make of the situation?
Look, hopefully he kind of leaves those comments now and just puts it to the side, and I'd like to see him playing for West Ham this next season coming up, and I don't see why he couldn't bag 20 goals this season. If he plays to Moyes' tactics, if we work it out with him as a good striker, then I'm sure he can bag 20 goals. Yeah,
absolutely. He's annoyingly handsome as well, isn't he? That does do my head in. But look, George, it's been absolutely brilliant having you on the show. Thanks very much. Enjoy the game this afternoon. I'm going to be hanging around, have a couple more beers with you if you'll have me. But that was George there, his girlfriend Erin standing off camera, head of this afternoon's game, West Ham v Perth Glory at Optus Stadium. I'm going to be getting about here, meeting a few more Aussies and a few more expats, I think, who are here to support the Hammers. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, follow us on Twitter, all the usual housekeeping stuff I always forget to say on the podcast. But for now, Will Pugh signing off.